Hi class, Chef Twa here. Just wanted to show you guys how to do a cornet, and a cornet is basically a small little parchment piping bag. And so you guys saw how I did that with the icing last week with like the royal icing, and this week we're doing biscotti. Being that we're making biscotti, if you want to decorate it by doing drizzles of chocolate and you just want those really beautiful fine lines, using a cornet is going to really help with that. And so it's a really common practice to know how to do cornets, because sometimes you want that really fine intricate design, and you can do really small little piping designs by using a cornet. Sometimes even like the smallest piping tips don't really work as well, right? And so this is a really great tip for plating designs, for doing filigree, and also just decorating your cookies. And so I did want to show you guys how to do that, and a little bit of two different versions. So if you have just like a straight up square parchment paper, especially the ones that are possibly already like pre-cut into like an even square where it's like the same length on all sides, then you have quite an easy version of a cornet where you can start by just folding in half and just making like a straight triangle from it, right? And so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this real quick and show you guys how to do a zoom up to show you guys how to do the folding process. And there's another version where it's not a perfect triangle. In fact, it's almost kind of like a triangle that's kind of like, you know, a shorter side and a longer side triangle. I think that's what you call, if I remember in geometry, it's called an isosceles triangle, I believe. Joke how, it's been a while, it's been since high school, so I don't really remember what that's called. But we're gonna go ahead and start with like the perfect triangle where all sides are even and equal, and then I'll show you the cheating way, which sometimes you don't have a perfect triangle, but you just need to cut a quick triangle real quick. It doesn't have to be perfect to still get like the cornet, okay? And so we're going to do a close-up in a little bit, but I'm going to also show you guys how to do some filigree. So excited! All right, here we are. So we have the triangle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right here. Well, sometimes, you know, when you use your finger to kind of really make the indentation, it's not as great. So I always use the back of my knife. I always kind of pressure it down, make sure I get really nice edges to this. It just makes it cut much easier. Alright, so we have a perfect triangle, 2 triangles now. And so, what you want to do is kind of fold, just kind of fold it, and you want to take, this is just literally one fold over, and you want to take this corner, take it to the top corner like so, up here. Oh, I just bent it. Let's try it again. So just a quick turn, and bring that corner up to this. And you want to do this, hold that right there. You want to hold it so that it's aligned, right? And then you want to wrap this around and then let this one go in the back and align it with this corner. So it's corner to corner. So you want to make sure the corners get in there, and then you end up with this cornet right here, and it's a piping bag. And so how do you secure this? You would want to fold down the little corners right here, and that kind of secures it in place. And then sometimes I like to tear mine on one side to just fold it down, just to kind of lock it in. Tear another side and fold it down and lock it in. And then there you go, you have a cornet. You can see that there's a really nice wide mouth on here, but then sometimes I like to do even like a smaller one, right? The great thing about the wide mouth is that you can see there's a lot of space for you to put, you know, icing in or whatnot. But then let's say our triangle isn't a perfect triangle. So I'm gonna just kind of fold this and kind of make it like an offset triangle real quick. Just kind of give you an idea. So this is my other way, it's my cheating way, because I don't always have time to, you know, measure out perfect triangles to get the perfect squares to make perfect triangles. And so sometimes when I have like a roll like this, I just fold it real quick, just a random triangle, even though it's not even on both sides. You can see this side's shorter. Let's see. You can see that this side is shorter and this side is longer, and sometimes I just fold it real quick and I just cut a line right through. And so I kind of want to show you that version as well, because this version right here is the perfect square that you cut into like a perfect triangle where all sides are even to get this beautiful shape, right? But there's also other versions where you have this side is longer, this side is longer, and this side is shorter. So it's not the same anymore, but it's the same process, right? And so instead of lining it up completely with this, right, you can still do the same process. Line it up very right corner to corner and let this long side wrap around. And because it's a long side, it's not going to wrap around and it's not going to touch this other opposite side. You can tell that it's like short, right? And so this is where you can't really lock it in, because this corner won't reach this corner because of how we did it, right? And so if you were to do without using the corner, you just base it off of the edge. And so you can see here, I turned it, and I'm just creating this cone right here, even though it's not wrapping exactly up to this tip right here. But then what my goal is to wrap this. You can see that it's not reaching, right? And so this is where you kind of loosen it up a little bit, and then you pull on this, and as you pull it starts to kind of naturally make that point. You can see here how it's making that point. And this is a much finer and a much smaller type of cornet. But I do these cornets specifically for my filigree because I don't need it to be so big, because all I'm doing is filling it in. And you can see here, I'm going to redo that. Show you. I just have my fingers holding onto it. And I'm wrapping this loose end and pulling this loose end. I'm not holding on anything, I'm just having the guidance here. I'm pulling that loose end to get that nice, beautiful tip. And how do you secure this? You take this open flap, and you fold it in, and this is where you can tighten it. Let's see how tight that is. And then again, I tear it and fold. And that locks it. This is going to take a little bit of practice, but this one is the easier one to do, where you get that perfect triangle. And then when you start to get better at getting the feel of like the perfect triangle of the larger cornet, then the smaller ones start to kind of just come naturally. So I want to do that cornet one more time. You can see I'm not even measuring it out. Sometimes you just don't have time. So how do you do this quickly? Just make a little quick triangle, even though it's not even. We're going to try it again. Just hold it real quick, just pinching it, just not even lined up. You can see this flap right here is not even lined up to this, and that's okay because this is the cheating way. And so you just wrap it, and you can see how the hole is so big right here. And so you want to tug on this and pull on it while the guiding. I'm just holding the inside right here to kind of keep the shape, but then as I'm pulling on this, it just kind of starts to, look, tighten up that hole. You can see how that works. Perfect, right? And then sometimes if this is too long and it covers the piping hole right here, you can just tear this part off a little bit, fold it in. See how that's folded in? You can see the hole got a little bit bigger, no problem. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to take that same flap, I'm going to pull it and tuck it. As I'm pulling upwards, I'm tucking it in here, and then it tightened it all up, and so that hole ended up like closing up. Let me go ahead and show you. You see that? How thin a piping little tip that is. So this is going to be very useful if you want to, practice this. You definitely can, and just kind of drizzle your chocolate onto your biscotti, and it creates beautiful, beautiful designs. But you can see the differences here. There we go. All right, and I'm going to show you how I love filigree. It was one of my favorite things to do in pastry school, and I'm going to just kind of show a little demo of that for you real quick. So I have two of my little mini pipettes right here, or pipettes, or you can call them cornets. So the cornet, the large one, I do recommend for you guys to continue to practice this larger one because it is easier. It has a little bit more guideline for you to follow, you know, from corner to corner and get like that nice even square cut, and then get that perfect triangle cut, and then it's gonna just line up perfectly down the center right here, and then you end up with this really easy cornet. But as you get a little bit more comfortable with this, then you can start practicing this version. And I am gonna use my little minier ones because I want to show you some filigree. So I melted some chocolate. You want to make sure you don't always fill these so much. You do want to fill just enough because you get a little bit more stability if you fill it in less. Sometimes when you fill it in too much, it's just gonna start like oozing out the top of your cornet, and you don't want that. And so you see how I filled it in right there? And so I always look for the seam to face me when I do this processor here, because the seam's the other way, it doesn't like pull as much. So I'd rather have it pulling this way. And so I usually fold one side, fold the other side, and then I bend it down. And the reason why I fold those sides first is so that I can close the edges. Sometimes you just fold from the top down, the chocolate starts to ooze out on this edge right here. And so you can see as I'm pulling it down, it's actually tightening right here. You can see the chocolate already coming out. And so let's go ahead and wipe this off so that I have a little bit more room to show you different filigree. And this is going to take practice, you know, don't feel like you have to get this on the first try. And so it's really good if you have like, you know, filigree stencils, just look it up, filigree, and you could print it out onto like a piece of paper, and then you can trace it to help get you with the flow. But once you get a little bit better with the flow, you want to try to freehand it, because then eventually you'll be able to just freehand it and create these really beautiful designs. Like so. So there's a lot of different versions. That. And it's funny because I love doing these so much. Sometimes I do it just for fun. And it was funny, there's a story from France that I always did this specific design on all of my chocolate sculptures, and eventually the chefs just all started grading my final exam, and they definitely knew which one was mine because I had such a signature design that this became one of my signature filigree designs in France, and the chefs loved it because it created a really beautiful design. I call it my little pinwheel. So that's my favorite design right there. That's my signature design that all the chefs were like, oh, that's Twa's design. Or I would put it on my plating and they just loved it. And if I were to put this on a plating, you know, you can see too that even having these piping, let's say you don't want to do filigree, because these would be like chocolate decor pieces that you would put onto your main dish, or you know, you want to top it into like your chantilly to give a little bit elevation. But you know, let's say you just want to do a chocolate design with a chocolate sauce. This doesn't have to be just tempered chocolate. It can be like a sauce of some sort in here, and you can create little plated designs. And so I always love doing different versions of plated designs, but you know, simple ones were like more geometric like shapes where it's just circles and lines. You can see here. You can just pipe it. You get to be very, very detailed with how you plate, with how you do your designs. So if I were to put this on a plate, probably do like a little bit of like a whimsical design, maybe like some little floral type of shapes and such. And I like to just kind of follow with the design sometimes. Just do random things, but see there? And then I could do the flower, or let's see, maybe I can connect to this one. Just some whimsical designs right there. And then just get a little bit more balance. Yeah. So, you know, that could even go on a cake if I wanted. Just little fun little designs. So if you were to do a cake, right? Let's say, let me go ahead and grab a plate real quick. Let's say this is the top of a cake. Each slice wants its own design. And so sometimes I like to do a design where it kind of goes straight side down. And you can follow. Right? And then do the same on the opposite side. And that could be a plate of dessert on its own right there too. And I do want to emphasize that this comes with practice. I mean, you see how steady my hand is, and the steadiness just comes from practice and practice. I mean, this design and, you know, the way that I pipe where, you know, everything just almost kind of flows so naturally comes with practice, and this is years of practice. So, you know, don't feel intimidated if you didn't get to do this on the first step, you know, or the first try. It's just going to take some time. And I'm telling you, if you have stencils, that's going to help with your practice. It's going to help you also kind of figure out how to put pressure onto your piping bag to be able to achieve this. And most of the time I don't really trace and push down on this part right here to get my design like that. I lift it and I just kind of let the chocolate flow and for it to just fall into place. And that idea of it falling into place comes with practice, and it comes with just kind of getting used to how the viscosity of the chocolate is to help you pipe it. Pretty cool, right? I think I probably like the design better without these, but I just kind of wanted to show you more piping. But overall, this can be for a plated dessert. It can be on top of a cake. I mean, you can imagine each slice having a design, and it just presents really beautifully. So just know it's going to take time. You'll get there. I don't doubt you guys. I always believe in you guys, and you know, as long as you practice, you'll be able to achieve literally almost anything. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but I hope you enjoyed my video.